So, my friends, welcome to a new crypto update video. Bitcoin is currently at 101,400 US dollars. After we saw our sell-off yesterday down to 98,140 US dollars and at the same time reached the upper edge of our red box, which we already talked about last week, we saw a turnaround overnight. The Asia session didn't sell us off any further, despite the somewhat negative news situation. Let's definitely take a look at what happened. What might we need to prepare for? And above all, how did the daily close turn out? You'll find out all of that in today's update video. Of course, we'll also take a look at the forex markets, the altcoins, and of course, the stock markets. But before we get started, feel free to leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and of course, feel free to join the free Telegram talk and signal group. If you're interested in updates, news, and signals, you're more than welcome to join. You'll find the link for that for free down in the video description. And if you're still looking for an exchange where you can trade all of this, you can simply sign up with our partner exchange, BingX. At the moment, there are bonuses of up to 11,500 USDT. And I've also posted a promotion in the Telegram group where you can get up to 500 USDT as a deposit bonus. So just sign up with the link below and you're in. Alright. Bitcoin at 101,400 US dollars. So, what happened? The Iran-Israel conflict escalated. The US got involved. The US allegedly destroyed the nuclear facilities. Iran is said to have taken the stuff, not stolen it, but moved it away again, the uranium and so on. Then, yesterday afternoon, that's why we're here on the 4-hour chart. It's exactly this candle here, that possibly the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed. So, the parliament has voted for it, but the Iranian Security Council also has to vote on it. Only when that happens will this strait probably be closed, through which currently 20% of the world's oil trade passes. So it's not, child's play, but it's also, not 100% certain yet. Still, there was a sell-off yesterday because of that, and now there's a bit of a recovery. Let's see if it stays that way. Right now, we have massive resistance in this area, around 102,300 to 102,400 US dollars. This is the 4-hour supply zone here, where we basically saw that sell-off yesterday. Let's quickly switch to the daily time frame, because that's much more interesting. We still see similarities to 2021. That means, on the one hand, this double top formation, which we also had here last year in December. We have it here as well, just on a smaller scale, but our range is still holding. You can see it here, this red lower boundary line. We did break through it yesterday, and that's why we also filled our vector, which we already talked about last week, at least for the most part here. It doesn't have to be filled completely. It's enough, I'd say, to fill 50 or 60%. We easily got into that range. This area has now been filled for the time being. That's a good sign for bringing liquidity into this area. And now, in the next few days, it will definitely depend on whether we can stay within the range or if that was just a negative retest. We're still below the EMAs. We were still able to hold our support in the, let's say, purple cloud here, but in my opinion, our next real support cluster is only between 95 and, right here at this upper edge, 98,000 US dollars. Also down here, the 200-day SMA on the daily chart is at least still holding, or should hold for now. As soon as that breaks, it will probably hit towards 87,000 US dollars, where our second vector is as well. And honestly, that's still my primary scenario. I posted that for you guys in the Telegram group yesterday. Where did I put it? Here, these are my main scenarios. Especially because right here. Oops, it just shifted. Mainly because we also have the golden pocket down here for a moment. We also have a vector candle here. That means, if the market corrects down here, we still have a chance for a higher all-time high to continue the bull run. It would be a minor correction. Of course, we have to keep that in mind. If we take a quick look at it in percentage terms, from our all-time high down, that would only be a 22% correction, and it would give us the chance to at least see another bull run. At the moment, as long as we're still in the range, everything is still fine from a daily perspective. If we fall below that, then the next steps will probably be down here at 95, or then 93 to about 87,000 US dollars. And down here is definitely my first spot zone. That's what I'm waiting for. Otherwise, as I said, not much has happened at the moment. We have to wait and see if the Iranians are really serious about closing the strait. okay, then the oil price will definitely skyrocket. If the war escalates even further, gold will probably also catch up a bit at some point. Those are the two things we should be paying attention to for now. Back to the 4-hour time frame. As I said, if we get rejected up here, let's quickly turn on the vector candles at this point, at least on the 1-hour and 4-hour time frames. Let's take a quick look at that. At the moment, we don't have any here. The next one currently present would be in this area up here at around 105,500 US dollars. I'll quickly draw a line here. Let's turn the indicator off again. That up there would be the vector candle, and this here would be the supply zone. If we just recover the sell-off from the weekend now and also pull the fib level from our top to our low, we can see, okay, the 0.786 is here, or rather, the golden pocket is right here at the monthly pivot, which we last barely held as support, and then over the weekend, after a retest, broke down through to the downside. So this whole zone, let's just say, up to around $105,000 will probably be crucial for the next few days. If we look at the funding rates, it would fit really well for us to liquidate a few shorts to the upside. We have negative funding rates, so here too, it looks like prices are likely to rise in the short term. Plus, if we also take a look at the heat map, it matches up here as well, $104,000 to $105,000. That's exactly the area, on the one hand, where the golden pocket is, and of course also here, where we still have this small inefficiency plus the vector. That means, as soon as we get above $105,500 here, then we can start thinking about a possible all-time high, in quotation marks, even though, in my opinion, it's still too early for that, because nothing at all has changed in the global situation. That's point number one. If we get rejected up here, then our bearish scenario down here will definitely come into play, where I would also consider adding to my spot position. For the sake of completeness, let's take a quick look at the weekly heat map. In the end, not much has really changed there either. We still have our cluster up here at 109,000 US dollars, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. At first, we only had a cluster, I think, at 100, here, 102,000 US dollars for 103,000 US dollars, and we still drop lower. That doesn't mean we have to reach that level up there, but it's a possibility, just something to keep in the back of your mind. So, I've talked quite a lot about Bitcoin now, but well, it doesn't matter. Those are definitely the most important scenarios for today and possibly for the next few days as well. I'm also curious to see how the US will actually start trading later this afternoon. Let's move on to Ethereum. What's been happening with Ethereum? Yeah, we've got our support, our terminal range. You could really call it that by now, since the beginning of May. That's when we fell below it for the first time. Basically, we just did a retest here at 2,100 US dollars. Nothing really dramatic, but here too, the retest to the upside is still pending. If we see this p-value here as resistance again, then the next step for Ethereum is probably between 1,870 and 1,750. That's the bearish scenario, which I personally still prefer. The reason for that is simply, as we've discussed several times before, that over here we just have vector candles everywhere and this abnormal surge, which I really don't like. That means there's inefficiency everywhere here. If we find support down here, then we can consolidate a bit down here first and then pump upwards. In my opinion, that would be the most bullish scenario for Ethereum, because the way things are right now, it doesn't really look bullish at all. And we see the same thing with the altcoins. If we take a look at Solana, for example, last week, we turned around at the golden pocket up here. We talked about it then, turned around again. To be more precise, you could say, or you have to say, and then we dropped down. Right now, the altcoins are basically stuck in no man's land. Nothing has really happened at all. We're still pretty much in this huge accumulation phase, which isn't really bullish, but it's not really bearish either. The performance of altcoins is absolutely bearish, but at the moment, the structure is still more like there's a bit more liquidity up top. Even the narrative, if you can really call it that, is that we haven't had a real altcoin season yet. At least that's what most people think. That's at least a bit of a glimmer of hope, and that we've managed to hold our support here for now. And we can see the same thing with XRP and other altcoins. So it's not looking that dramatic yet, as long as Bitcoin doesn't make its move downward. As I said, we've only just had a 10% correction. There could be another 10 or 12% on top of that, and then Solana will probably see prices below $100 again. That has also been more or less my target for the time being. On the one hand, there's this larger box, but my main target was down here at $93, which I'd really like to see again, and then we'd have a massive double bottom. That would be another chance for everyone, and also for the market, I'd say, to correct upwards again, just like with Ethereum. We close the inefficiency and then, in the end, we either see the big bull run in quotation marks, or the bull run is finally over if Bitcoin falls below 85,000 US dollars. Those are the options at the moment. So, what's happening? What's gold doing? Gold is holding up reasonably well, still within the range. There's nothing really spectacular going on here, I have to say. Last night we saw a bigger candle towards 3,400 US dollars, and now we're consolidating here at around 3,350. So, not much is really happening there yet. It'll also get interesting here when the Iranians react. For now, we're seeing a bearish retest of our yellow uptrend line here. We need to keep an eye on this to see if I might slowly start closing the long position here. Depending on how the day goes, I'll definitely announce it again if I do. Other than that, things are very, very quiet with gold, and the sideways phase is still ongoing here. As I said, it all still depends a bit on the news situation and how gold reacts, because interest rate cuts might become a topic again. Maybe Powell will say something after all, depending on how things escalate and whether the US continues to get involved in the war. Euro versus US dollar. The euro is rising slightly for now, but I wouldn't get my hopes up just yet. Let's see what the day brings. I'm going to wait and see here as well. What will happen over the course of the day? What other news is there? Will more countries get involved, etc., before rushing into anything and making unnecessary trades here? As I said, what's more interesting are the US stocks, or rather, how we get started in the US. Nasdaq at the moment, or pre-market now, not much is really happening. US Tech 100, Nasdaq, pretty quiet. Yeah, and S&P 500, not much going on there either. Tested the 200 SMA on the 4-hour chart here, not really bearish for now. We have to wait and see what happens there. At the moment, like I said, maybe accumulate a little bit here and there, okay, that's one option, or hope that we see a bounce. We saw that bounce last night. Whether that's sustainable remains to be seen. But right now, I'd rather play it safe and just not do anything for now. I'm just going to wait and see what happens in the end. How does Bitcoin react? What's the news situation? If Bitcoin really does a bearish retest and we fall below our daily range, we'll probably see the next sell-off, just like if things escalate further over there or if there's a huge counterattack from Iran. That's where things stand at the moment. Whether you should invest in altcoins right now, I would avoid that, just like I have been all along. There just aren't really any opportunities right now, unless, of course, you know all the altcoin videos, where the chances are or where our support zones are. Otherwise, we just have to wait until a clear pattern emerges. I don't like the idea that if we were to see a sell-off now, we still haven't hit an all-time high anywhere, whether it's the S&P, the Nasdaq, or whatever. We're 2 to 3% away. I would have liked to see that first before we might see a crash. On the other hand, maybe everyone is just waiting for us to hit the all-time high, and now we crash. It's definitely exciting. Let's see what happens next. For now, I'm staying out of it. Like I said, the short position on Bitcoin is definitely still running. I'll only close it, or it'll be closed at stop loss entry if it comes to that. I think the entry is somewhere around 105, 106, somewhere in that area. Until then, I won't do anything and I won't short any altcoins or anything else yet. That's it for now. Today's video was a bit longer, but that's fine. Quite a lot has happened, and I think it's actually pretty helpful to just understand the overall context. Otherwise, I'd just like to say thank you so much for watching. I won't be able to make another video today, but tomorrow I think we'll start again with stock and altcoin videos. That's all from my side. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much. See you then. Ciao, ciao, and as always, stay crypto.